Many years ago, I started off poor. I started off broke. I started off pretty stupid. And over the years, I began to study the subject of success. And I had one simple idea that came upon me in my late teens, and I think it was the most important idea that I've ever had. And it was simply this, that if you study successful people and you do what they do, you'll be more successful.
Yes, I run every single morning. Up about 5:30. So every morning starts with a run. And that's because that's the one thing I hate to do more than anything in the world. So that's like my cup of coffee. And I'm all about armoring yourself. So the second you leave your house, and the second you open your phone, the second you do any of that, you are now letting in poison and cancer. So I make sure a lot of things you can't avoid. So as I get up, I start to armor plate my mind and body. Like a person's going to war, you put your body armor on. That's what I'm doing on that run.
If you got a dream, you got to protect it. And if you want something, go get it, period. I've wondered so many times, how did my mother know to say to me every day, son, you can do or be anything? That's the greatest gift I ever got in my life. That was permission to dream.
I'm waking up and I'm giving myself all this armor. So when I come out in the world, now look at that phone, I'm ready. I'm not waking up late. I'm not rushing around. I'm not disorganized because I know I'm going to get hit in the fucking mouth. There's an art to getting hit in the fucking mouth.
And if you study unsuccessful people and you avoid doing what they do, then you will not be a failure. And what I want to talk to you about tonight is some of the principles that I've discovered in over 20 years of research. I have studied successful men and women. I have read biographies and autobiographies. I have looked at the characteristics and principles of them. I've studied philosophy and economics and religion and psychology and metaphysics. And I've come to 10 key qualities. Now, there may be more and there may be less, but I find that each of these 10 qualities that successful men and women have, that if you have these 10 qualities, there's nothing in the world that can stop you from being an outstanding success.
So if you can do or be anything, all this other stuff will come. My mother said to me, son, you can do or be anything. That was the generational transfer of a dream. It is you and your responsibility, you and your opportunity to create the life that you want for you and your family. Where could you be in 10 or 12 years? Where would you like to be? And just as importantly, what are you doing right now today to get there?
You have to wake up and you have to give yourself belief. You have to give yourself confidence. So it starts with that run. So after the run, I come home, I eat something small, nowhere under 12 miles. So 12 miles is the minimum.
So let's talk about these principles. The first principle is clarity. So it means clarity of thinking. It means thinking clearly, and it extends from thinking clearly to a series of other things. With regard to clarity, it means the ability to determine exactly what it is that you want to be, have, or do in life. And the more I study successful men and women, the more I find that every single one of them, the top 5%, are very clear about where it is they're going and what it is they want to accomplish. And when I look at unsuccessful men and women, or men and women who seem to be unhappy and floundering, I find that almost invariably they have a very, very limited sense of direction, sometimes no sense of direction at all. As they say, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. If you do not have clear, specific goals for your life, you are doomed forever to work for people who do.
I made the second most important decision that I ever made in my life. That decision was, I'm going to become world class at whatever I do with my life. Not good at it, not pretty good at it, but world class at it. And let's define world class and keep it simple. Right now, whatever business or industry that you're in, or business or industry that you aspire to be in, there's a conversation going on right now and the question has come up, who's the best in the business? Somebody ought to say your name. Same conversation, same question. Who's the best in the business? If nobody says your name, then you got work to do.
People will, and some of these motivational people out here, it's the funniest thing in the world to me. They'll go and say, when you wake up in the morning, pound your chest. You know, fucking look at yourself in the mirror and do all this fucking bullshit. I hope it works. What works for me is that everyday resume. The things I know I've accomplished, the things I know I've done, real hard work, the real calluses on my mind, the real calluses on my hands. That's it. You don't need to pound your chest in the mirror fucking anymore if you have that.
And that seems to be the case. And yet only 5% of people have goals. So the key starting point with regard to clarity is to know where it is you're going and what it is you want to be and what it is you want to have and what it is you want to do. The second key with regard to clarity is decisiveness. Be decisive. I have never met a successful person who was indecisive, and I've never met a failure who was decisive. Be decisive. Develop the characteristic and quality of decisiveness. We know that the reason why we are indecisive is because we're afraid of making a mistake. But the terrible thing is that the way that we think becomes a habit. And the habit of indecisiveness can condemn us to failure. We can be talented and intelligent and ambitious, but if we cannot make the hard decisions in our life, and if we cannot make decisions readily, then what happens is we always have to work for people who do make decisions readily.
When that question comes up, who is the best in the business, the ultimate validation is when somebody who does not like you says your name. When the people who would not take your phone calls are now hoping that you'll return their calls. When the folks who would not hire you yesterday cannot afford you today, that's when you know. I think one of the most important things that I can share with you today, especially young, aspiring entrepreneurs, because of globalization and technology, the people that you're competing with are someplace all around the world, and they are grinding every single day. One of the most important things I believe I can share with you right now is while you are off being young, enjoying yourselves, as you are perfectly entitled to do, you got to know this. The people that you're competing with are someplace studying, practicing, networking, rehearsing, researching, and that's going to make the difference between who signs the front of the check and who signs the back of the check.
Well, I believe that you have to build belief. Belief is like, there's an after school special belief where the mom says, believe in yourself. And that's all great. But there's also a built belief. And the built belief is one where you are constantly, like for me, I came from a bad place. How I build belief is through the daunting tasks I put myself through. So that's proof positive that I can. So it correlates. And that's how this piece of shit kid I once thought I was built belief by saying, I was in 3 hell weeks. I went to Ranger School. I tried out for Delta selection.
Undeniable stack of proof.
That is proof, motherfucker. So whenever you think you can't, the confidence comes from the thing that you built. You must build belief. You must build confidence. It can't be like, hey, I'm going to go knock that shit out. You got to look over here and say, I can knock that shit out. It's belief, and it's built on what you put in to yourself.
Now, the interesting thing about decisions is that about 80% of decisions should be made the first time they come up. And if you make decisions every single time they come up, sooner or later you will develop the habit of decisiveness. You'll be very clear about what it is you want, and it's easy to make decisions if you know what it is you want to accomplish. And the difference between successes and failures is not that successful people make right decisions, it is that successful people make their decisions right. The third point under clarity is to have a vision for yourself and a vision for your life. The key to having a vision is to have a dream. They say in the song, you've got to have a dream if you want to make a dream come true. And you can fulfill your dreams. All the great movers and shakers throughout all of history have been dreamers. They've been people with dreams. They've been people with visions. All leaders have vision. In the book of Solomon, it says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And the metaphysical meaning of that is that where people lack vision, they perish inside because they lose the excitement and the thrill of life.
Another very important thing that I believe I can share with you as a young, aspiring entrepreneur, you got to ask yourself every single day, what am I doing with my time? Time is the ultimate asset. You can make money, you can lose money, you cannot make time. In this time of stress, turmoil, fear, anger, in this world right now, globally, maybe this is our opportunity to create a new definition and a new universal vision of success and happiness. A universal dream where the focus is on empowerment, not entitlement. A universal dream that says what you do does not define who you are. A universal dream that says achieving balance in your life is just as important as the balance in your checking account. A new universal dream that says I will no longer confuse my net worth with my self-worth. A new universal dream, and I will submit to you as you choose to define this new universal dream. It must have three components. It's got to have a backbone, a cornerstone, and a bedrock. And you know what that is? Permission to dream. That's where it all starts, right there. Permission to dream. My mother saying to me every day, son, you can do or be anything. That was permission to dream.
I came from a small town in Indiana where there was a handful of black families. And a lot of people in that town, when you come from a town of 8,000 people, it's like we had a local plant, Great Dane. And you're like, you know what? I want to work at Great Dane and get a house next to my mom. That's what you know. So many of us come from these small places in our mind that we're not willing to think outside of only what we've seen. Our mind works in such a small compartment. And one thing I was able to do was to dream. Many people, but don't make dreams your fucking master. But I was able to dream outside those fucking four walls of that small town. And until you're able to really put yourself into that dream, but don't make dreams your master, that's where you truly become what you're destined to become. A lot of people sit back and they dream about being a sports figure, or dream about being a SEAL, or dream about being an astronaut. And all it is a motherfucking dream. They don't put the work behind the dream. That dream has become their fucking master. When you become the master of your fucking dream is when you say, I want to go be a Navy SEAL. And you say, okay, I'm going to lose 106 pounds in less than 3 fucking months. The dream was the one thing I thought about, and the dream was now gone. Now, what comes in, the dream goes away, and the fucking laundry list of fucking details and tasks come up. Gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do this. That's when you become the master of your dream.